Far and away, the biggest issue facing Barack Obama is the economy, and there are few people who understand the American economy better than one of the president-elect's strongest supporters, Warren Buffett. The billionaire investor sat down for an interview with Tom Brokaw to share his views on the economy, the future, and Barack Obama.
Last fall, Warren, a pollster told me that the election was between hope and fear. When it comes to the economy, who's winning, hope or fear?
Well, right now, fear is. I mean, you're seeing it every place. You saw it in the sales of almost every item at Christmas. There's a lot of fear throughout the country.
When the richest man in the world speaks, people listen, especially when it's about the economy in so much trouble, and the president-elect is no exception.
I've got a friend who lives in Omaha. You may have heard of him, named Warren Buffett.
My friend Warren Buffett.
My friend Warren Buffett.
He often cites you as an advisor, and I know that you've been in touch with his economic team. Does he listen?
He's a listener. But on the other hand, he makes up his own mind. His team won't run him. He'll use his team. He'll use them very effectively. But in the end, it'll be his decision.
I've been describing this as the domestic equivalent of war. Is that an overstatement?
It really is an economic Pearl Harbor. The country is facing something it hasn't faced since World War II.
Is Barack Obama the right commander-in-chief for the economy?
He's the absolute right commander-in-chief. That's another thing the American people seem to do occasionally, is that we elect people that are right for the times, whether it was Lincoln or Roosevelt. You couldn't have anybody better in charge.
Warren Buffett has been advising the incoming president. They met again this week at the Washington Post, where Buffett is a board member. Right after that, Buffett joined me at the museum, Washington's stylish tribute to journalism, halfway between Capitol Hill and the White House. And Buffett continued his praise of Obama.
Why is he right for the times?
Well, he's smart, he's got the right values, but he understands economics very well. He's cool, he's analytical, but then when he gets it all thought through, he can convey to the American people what needs to be done, not to expect miracles, that it's going to take time. But that we're going to get to the other end.
During the course of the campaign, when he talked about his economic policies, a lot of his opponents said he's a socialist. And he would say, look, if I were a socialist, would I have Warren Buffett as one of my advisors and one of my friends?
Yeah, no, he believes in America where there's more and more goods and services to go around, but he does believe in having everybody get a better shot at it than's existed in the last 20 years.
Well, we can't underestimate the challenges that we face. We also can't underestimate our capacity to overcome them.
Even before he takes office, the president-elect is working hard to kickstart the economy, lobbying Congress to pass that big stimulus program fast.
We know, or we have a pretty good idea, what the stimulus program will mean to the economy in terms of raw dollars and so on. The economists can't seem to come to a judgment about how long it will take for it to have an effect. Some are saying a year, others are saying it may be up to 5 years. Do you have a position on that?
Well, I don't think it'll be 5 years, Tom, but I don't have the answer to that. We have a negative feedback cycle going on now. We have fear, which leads to people not wanting to spend and not wanting to make investments, and then that leads to more fear. We'll break out of it, but it takes time, and nobody can predict exactly when it'll happen.
We've got a court order here to go ahead and proceed with an eviction today. Basically, the bank's taking back over the house.
This economic freefall began when the housing bubble burst. Mortgages that turned out to be too good to be true. Too easy credit. Too much greed. People living beyond their means. Which is something no one can ever accuse Warren Buffett of doing.
You live in the same house that you've lived in Omaha for how long now?
50, a little over 50 years, yeah.
Were you ever tempted in the last 5 years to build one of those bigger houses on the outside?
No, I'm happy where I am. Somebody said one time that success is getting what you want and happiness is wanting what you get. And I got that house 50 years ago and I love it.
For so many Americans accustomed only to good times, today's tumultuous times are terrifying experiences. So Buffett wants everyone to keep some perspective.
You were a child in the Great Depression. You witnessed World War II. It was a very difficult time right after World War II. A lot of people forget about that.
Sure.
You've been through these cycles of boom and bust. Where does this one fit in your lifetime?
Well, this certainly is nothing like World War II. I mean, with the country threatened. It's not like the Great Depression, but it's a severe economic. I mean, this is number one since World War II. But since 1776, it's never paid to bet against America. We come through things, but it's not always a smooth ride.
Ask not what your country can do for you.
ask what you can do for your country.
In Barack Obama, people do hear echoes of another young president in another time. And there is great anticipation for the new president's inaugural speech on Tuesday.
You're very good with words. Has he asked you at all for any advice on his inaugural address?
No, I have not been sitting around writing fourscore. That's right. No, he doesn't need any help.
We have nothing to fear but fear itself.
That's right, nothing to fear but fear itself. Right.
But does it have to be in that tone? Are we ready for that again?
Well, I don't have any specific knowledge, but my guess is it will be inspirational. It will be asking something of the American people. I mean, he has every right to expect something of the American people, and I think the American people want something to be asked of them.
And above all, I will ask you to join in the work of remaking this nation the only way it's been done in America for 221 years. Block by block, brick by brick, calloused hand by calloused hand.
And how important is the new president to all of that in terms of instilling confidence and talking bluntly to the American people, saying there is going to be some pain here and you may have to make some sacrifices?
That's exactly what he's going to say, because it's the truth. And he's smart enough to know it's the truth, and he's the kind of person who's going to tell you the truth.
If you can show me that something's going to work, I will welcome it. If it works better than something I've proposed, I'll welcome it.
He absorbs what people are saying, and in the end, he comes out, with better ideas than I come out with when I'm listening to the same thing. He has an ability to extract from other people a lot of information. He's a great editor of people's ideas, and then he's not afraid to act. I mean, he's got a confidence about him which is warranted. It's not an arrogance, but it's a confidence, and he believes in himself. He believes in his country, and he'll get the job done.